Riley Everyday is back with a brand new series counting down the top 10 most intriguing teams ahead of the 25-26 season. And I'm looking specifically at programs with heavy roster turnover that could lead to a variety of different outcomes. I've got some very special guests helping me break it all down. Can't wait for y'all to hear them. And Riley Everyday is brought to you by Rowback, my go-to for performance gear. They've got hoodies, polos, quarter zips, athletic shirts, and shorts. Whatever you need, they have you covered. As you can see, I am wearing the Hezi Performance hoodie, and I love this hoodie so much. It is so comfortable and versatile. It's great for casual wear. It's great for active wear. Make sure to get yourself one and use promo code SleepersMedia20 for 20% off your first order over at rowback.com. Let's get into the show. Welcome back to Riley Everyday as we continue our countdown through the top 10 most intriguing teams for the college basketball season. And today we're talking about the Auburn Tigers. And I am joined by Vince Wolfram, who is with the Field of 68. He has covered Auburn the past couple of years, graduated from there this past May. Vince, thank you so much for being on the show. Welcome for your first time. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Riley. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited. It's always good when we can talk basketball, talk college hoops ahead of college football, right? We got
Yeah.
to put a little door stopper in that one. Keep college hoops in the mix. So I'm ready to talk.
At the risk of getting too off track, but that's kind of what we do on Sleepers. Where are you at on this Auburn football team? Because I'm someone who's like low key a Jackson Arnold truther, and I see a world where maybe a little Hugh Freeze redemption and Auburn gets back right on the gridiron. But yeah, where are you at with the team this year?
Honestly, Riley, in my 4 years, it was a terrible time to be focused on Auburn football with the Harsin era, the Hugh Freeze entry point, like all of that stuff gave me not so great of a 4 years of football. So, as a very black and white fan, I see it very plain.
Uh-huh.
I don't quite know. A bowl game, I guess, would be nice. In terms of game by game, I don't know if what we'll be able to do, but I'm hoping at least going into maybe Baylor on Friday, that could be a fun way to start the season with a win. But we'll see. I'm hoping at least bowl game for now. That would be a win in my book.
I'm with you on that. You know what? I'm gonna set the bar a little bit higher. I think you can get to 8 wins this year.
Okay.
I think,
All right.
I mean, someone who I loved last year was Cam Coleman. Just thought he didn't really get the
Dog.
the respect of the other freshman receivers like Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. And granted, those are two of the best players in the country. I get
Yeah.
that. But he was sort of an afterthought, even after someone like Ryan Wingo at Texas. But like this dude might as well have been catching passes from me out there and still was ripping off like these massive games. So now, assuming Freeze can get the best version of Arnold, which I know does take some faith, that's like it's that duo right there that's making me want to believe a little bit. But anyway, I think there's a world they could get to 8, maybe even 9 wins. But of course, you're here to talk about the hardwood, and I love this Auburn Tigers program. I love what Bruce Pearl's been able to do with them, where it's a consistent identity year after year. You can rely on the guards. I feel like he's always finding wings, sort of in that 30 to 40 range coming out of high school who become stars, whether it's Chuma Okiki, whether it's Isaac Okoro. And now he does have a task at hand of finding some more under the radar gems. It's a brand new roster. Todd Pettifer's the only returner, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Only returner. I saw Drake Cardwell is on the team now, Dylan's brother, but from my understanding, he was not with them last year. Was he even at Auburn or?
He was, I guess he's the only scholarship guy returning, I'm pretty sure, is Tahad. The rest
Okay.
of them are all moved on.
Okay. I thought that's what my research told me. And it's
Yeah,
like, wow, congrats on a Final Four berth. Now you got to completely reload and turn the roster over from a bunch of
seriously.
seniors. So let's talk a little big picture with this Auburn team after this roster turnover. What is the pulse among Auburn fans for even how they're feeling about this unit going into the season?
Sure. When you unload 11 seniors, you know a revamp has to come, right? And I don't think Bruce Pearl wasted a lot of time. I don't even know that getting to the Final Four, he was really able to even look back and think about what he had done and the greatness that he had accomplished at a school that had only been to the Final Four once before, the second time in school history. So I don't even know that he got a chance to really grasp what the season held in 2024-25 before he had to get to work on this next class, right? Because as we know, the transfer portal opened during March Madness, so literally nonstop for Bruce Pearl and his crew. But I think the pulse is that the confidence is there that we've seen what the coaching staff can do. I think Bruce is one of the best, if not the best coach at player development
Hmm.
and knowing where to put guys to get them at their best. He's old fashioned in that way where he'll discipline the way he knows to discipline, and that makes a team better. He's focused on getting individuals better, but as the individuals grow, so does the team. And I think with Tahad being the dynamite piece that's coming back, that's a pretty good rock
Hmm.
to have. Bringing in a bunch of new guys, some SEC, some Big 12, plenty of names that I'm sure we'll get to. But I think the pulse realistically is pretty positive
Hmm.
after reloading from the loss of 11 seniors, having to put a roster together that other SEC teams coming off the best year the conference might have ever had to be scared of. And the fact that he was able to accomplish that, I think, is a win in and of itself.
I'm with you completely on that. I would say this coaching staff has earned the benefit of the doubt at this point, and we'll get into it a little bit more as we talk through our categories. I will make the case for, I guess, looking at prior examples for why I trust this staff's talent eval in particular. But I want to start by talking who you believe will be the most impactful of these newcomers.
Sure. I think obviously there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of good guys coming in from in typical Bruce Pearl fashion, Division II, JUCO,
Hmm.
non-Power Five schools. There's guys coming from all over. So what you expect can be a toss-up from some of these guys. But I think the number one is Keyshawn Hall, the transfer from UCF. He was one of the most sought out small forward, the three guys in the entire transfer portal. Teams from all over the country were looking at this dude. And if you know his story, you know he used to be a big fella, like a very large dude, and slimmed down now, 6'7", 230, 240 ish. Can really shoot it. I think averaged just around 18, 19 points last year in the Big 12 for UCF, 7 boards a game. Can shoot the ball. He's a lefty, which makes him a little more difficult to stop. But the build, the power that he has from being a big dude, slimmed down into now this strong, stocky three-man, I think not only will it fit well in Bruce Pearl's system, but it'll complement the other pieces, will Keyshawn Hall's game. I think he'll step in a way that complements a lot of these other pieces. You look at Abdul Bashir, you look at obviously Tahad Pettiford, some of the bigs that were brought in that are going to be fresh. I think Keyshawn Hall he'll have to step up and he'll have to produce quick, but I don't think
Hmm.
that'll be necessarily a problem for the former UCF Knight.
Yeah, I think my heart says Keyshawn Hall will be the most impactful because I've loved Keyshawn Hall like these past 2 seasons. I thought he was a bucket at George Mason. He made UCF actually worth tuning into from time to time. And
Yep,
I think just the concept of being the big guard, as he calls himself, like that's his Twitter
literally.
bio, just big guard. And when you look at the scoring outputs, it's hard not to love the upside here. I mean, he dropped 40 in a game this year against Arizona State, put up 34 against Oklahoma State. I believe he also had 34 against Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse.
Yep.
And there are some efficiency issues there, and I think that's sort of followed him throughout his career. Now, there's part of it that's like this will by far be the best supporting cast he's ever had. At the same time, I still think there's some of those tendencies those guys have, like the players, whether it's a winger or a guard who likes the ball in their hands, they're gonna take tough jumpers. Bruce Pearl has done pretty well with guards who do that. So it's like of all players to go to a coach who's had a success with guards like this, who kind of the chaos of someone like, I mean, Katie Johnson's not the best example, but like Wendell Green's
Chaos it
another
is.
one. Yeah, right, right. But like getting high level play from some of those guys, even if it's a little erratic, maybe he can rein him in a tad. But the most enticing thing for me, because he hasn't been super efficient at the rim, but he still can. He gets to the rim a lot, just doesn't finish great. But what he does do is draw fouls. Like this man lives at the charity stripe. He had 8 games last year where he shot 10 or more free throws. That's in the Big 12 in a conference that's arguably as good as the SEC, maybe a tick down. And yeah, so you don't have to worry about that translating up a level, but I would like to see him fine tune a little bit of the I guess whether it's like understanding angles or just taking smarter shots and getting a little stronger at the rim to finish, draw more and ones, and of course get like a tad more efficiency on the 3-point shot. But 35% with the volume that he took and the shot diet, you'll live with that.
Yeah, and I think too, even with you look at 81% from the free throw line, if he's going to get to the line that much, Auburn fans, I know they are scared of bad free throw percentages based off the tough experiences that they've had with the losses in the last couple of years falling to that very thing. So to see Keyshawn Hall, a guy who, like you mentioned, gets to the free throw line a good bit, he's able to shoot it and make them. So that's a comfort factor too. And the efficiency, I think, will come with time, comfortability, and being able to play with his teammates a little more. I think he'll get more comfortable. Those shots will become easier. And while the league is more physical, maybe than the Big 12 is with the
Mm-hmm.
SEC and how it is and how it was last year, especially, that will be, I think, an adjustment piece too. Getting to the foul line might be a little different now in this conference than it was in his previous.
Yep, for sure. Like I said, this is my heart because I'm a Keyshawn Hall guy. My head that tries to talk me, like my brain that tries to talk me out of it a little bit. That's where I might lean Keyshawn Murphy just because I still think there's a level he can ascend and the athleticism, the rebounding, even a little bit of a face-up game. Like he's comfortable attacking from the short corner. We'll get to him a little bit later, but he seems like a safer bet because with Keyshawn Hall, there's just some of that volatility that comes from 4 schools, 4 years, went to a bunch of high schools to where there's like
Yeah.
a little bit of fear. But once again, man, you got a head coach who has dealt with some dogs. What did who was it who said like that's what you get when you put a bunch of dogs on the airplane?
Dylan Cardwell, my
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, it's a classic.
like,
Lock a
like
bunch of dogs on the plane. What did you expect to happen?
if you're telling me like Bruce Pearl just coached Chad Baker Mazzara and got I think the best possible outcome of Chad Baker Mazzara, like he can handle Keyshawn Hall. So
If
let's
anything, that will be his emphasis. He wants Keyshawn Hall to be Keyshawn Hall.
hmm
He's had that with so many different guys. If you look at
hmm
freshman, sophomore, junior year, Dylan Cardwell, before he got a little older, a little more worn down, he was bringing all the energy that you could possibly imagine. This guy was an energizer bunny. Chad Baker Mazzara last year would do the same thing. The as long as his mouth was going, his play was going too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of those kind of moments, but that's what Bruce Pearl encourages these guys to do is to play like themselves, be themselves, because when you are, you play your most authentic basketball.
hmm I'm with you on that. It'll definitely be fascinating to watch. Let's move on next to the newcomer who you view as the biggest swing factor.
I think I'm going to go with Abdul Bashir here. He's a guy
Oh,
coming from
okay.
a JUCO position, 6'9", stringy. He's might be a little afraid of wind at times, but not unlike a build from Chad Baker Mazzara, like tall, lanky. But I think the difference with Abdul Bashir is he is a sniper. If you watch his highlights coming out of JUCO, he was averaging many a points. Had a bunch of 40 point games. Has a twin brother who's done damage in Division One as well. So
hmm
I'm curious to see what his impact is, and I know he's gotten there and has just been cleared to start to get going with this team. So I'm curious to see not only just the highlight practice clips from him, but when they get in those early games, those exhibitions, what do you hear from the team about how he stepped in? Because that transition from JUCO to high Division One, Power Five Division One is big, but
hmm
there's any coach like we've mentioned Bruce Pearl can make that transition pretty seamless. But he's a guy. I mean, his skill set is certainly unique.
hmm
Just from the shooting ability to his ball handling ability at his size with his length. I'm curious of what he can do as a defender. Being that size, being able to guard kind of maybe even 1 through 4 with the height of this team and how that may play out with size, he might have to play and defend the 1 through 4.
hmm
So on defense, I'm curious to see where his jump is, and offensively, I just can't wait to watch him.
Yeah, I had similar rationale, just a different pick. I went with Elijah Freeman. This is the clear D2 to Auburn pipeline we just saw Chaney Johnson do and
Yeah,
make the transition quite admirably. And with him, with Freeman, I think at the very least, he's going to be a knockdown shooter at 6'8". Like he has legitimate size, hit 46% of his shots from beyond the arc last year. But beyond that, too, he's a really good cutter. From what I've watched of him, I envision him filling that role like on the wing to get some of those easy looks off those flex cuts that y'all just dice teams with for
yeah.
most of last season. And bare minimum, I think he should shoot, let's say, at least 35% from three on decent volume, hopefully a little bit higher, and then
Mhm.
can get you some easy buckets thanks to his size, decent athleticism. He's not going to wow you and blow like you're not going to leave blown away by the athleticism, but he can still finish in traffic and rise above a defender. And if the ISO skills translate, that's where he's got a decent handle, good footwork, had guys at the D2 level on skates. And if that translates, you might have a guy who's, man, the ceiling could be like the third option on this team, maybe give you
Yeah.
12, 13 points a game. So he's the one where if it's the best version of Elijah Freeman and he's cooking alongside Tahad and Keyshawn Hall, you're having one of the best perimeter trios in the SEC. So he's the guy for me where you have star potential, but I would probably lean toward him taking another year. Like I kind of see going that same Chaney Johnson path where it was really his second year in this system where he blossomed. And maybe that's the case for Elijah. Still a chance he hits it this year.
Yeah, and I think too that that athleticism jump from year one in a Division 1 system to year
Hmm.
two can be huge. And this summer, I've heard a lot of buzz about Elijah's athletic ability. I don't know if you saw, he ran a 3:16 25-yard dash. They had like a pro day the other day, which is wicked fast. I think it was the fastest on the team. When Todd Pettiford is your point guard and you're
Hmm.
running a 25-yard dash faster than he can, that's mightily
Impressive.
impressive. So I'm curious to see kind of what the strength, not only just the strength, that's what Chaney Johnson had from year
Hmm.
one to year two and beyond. He worked himself into being as strong as a bull. And then other guys have seen that jump too. I'm curious what Elijah's jump in athleticism and
Hmm.
strength will look like and what it will add to his game.
Yeah, yeah. To that point about the speed, I think he should be a monster in transition at
Yeah.
some point in his Auburn career too. But let's move on and talk about this team's biggest strength.
Sure. I mean, I think honestly, I think it's going to be the duo of Keyshawn Hall and Tahad Bedford. I
Hmm.
love the fact that Tahad did explore the waters. I think that gave him a lot of confidence, seeing what parts of his game he knows he can excel at, and seeing what parts he can still work on. I think offense is probably going to be the biggest strength. There's just so much firepower
Hmm.
from Tahad's scoring ability, which we saw so many times, time and time again last year. And for the majority of the year, he wasn't a starter. Like, this was a guy who was coming off the bench and putting up 20 plus points against Houston, making key shots against Duke, leading this team in the NCAA tournament, uh, being the number 1 team in the country for a majority of the year, led by a freshman with New Jersey level confidence that can take you there. As a point guard, I think he's great because he's an underrated passer. I think people see him mostly as a scorer, but is a
Hmm.
fantastic passer too. One underrated aspect of his game from last year, the teamwork with he and Janai Broom, that was one of the best two-man duos in all of college basketball in my eyes. And I think you can throw in Keyshawn Hall. I think you can throw in Keyshawn Murphy, Abdul Bashir on a wing, Kevin Overton. Those guys I think will be vital pieces. And I also think the competitiveness. You bring in freshmen like Caden Magwood,
Hmm.
um, guys with a little bit of edge. I think that adds a piece to the offense that
Hmm.
not only just turns up to Hod and puts some pressure on him and helps him become a better leader, but also puts other guys in good spots too. That's what great leaders do on the floor. That's what great point guards do. So I think with Tahad as the captain of the offense, I think so many different parts will be unlocked. And with the weapons that Bruce Pearl has gotten in the last couple of months, I think there will be plenty of ways where that offense can hurt you come November when the season starts.
Yeah, kind of to your point, I'll highlight a specific part of the offense that I think should thrive in particular, and that's shooting. And
Yeah.
not really going to be a surprise. Bruce Pearl's teams almost always shoot well, but I'm just looking up and down this roster, and it's like, man, Tahad is not just an efficient shot maker, but a versatile one. And how he hits his threes, like he's going to give you those off the dribble threes. He's going to make them in clutch moments. Obviously, Freeman, that's a big sell on him. Is 6'8" with a strap. Jovic to me, I'm really
That's a
excited
guy.
to see he. I considered him for swing piece as well, just because
Yeah.
with his size in the front court, like I mean, you can play big with Hall at the 3, Jovic at the 4, and Murphy at the 5, and you got shooting up and down like the 1 through 4. I know Murphy only made 4 threes last year, so I wouldn't consider him a shooter. But yeah, like a lot of versatility there, and even Overton, like you mentioned, to me, I think at this point he's probably more of just a catch and shoot guy. But with the ball handlers this team has and the shot creators, like he's not going to need to do much more than that. So I'm just looking at this as like they got a chance to lead the SEC in 3-point percentage, and I'll be honest with you, man. Like as I was preparing this video, I was thinking like Auburn might be coming a little overrated here. I think they might be a back end top 25 team, but it's a bunch of new pieces. But the more and more I think about it, I'm like, this offense could be elite. They have the coach with the proven track record there. I mean, I have a few defensive concerns that we'll get into, but there's a lot of talent here and a lot better, like I would almost say role replacement from last year than I think the casual fan might realize.
100%. And I love the pick with Philip Jovic too. I think he's a guy that can come in, not only just make shots, but like you mentioned, impact the game in more ways than just one. 6'8", 225. While he's slim, he can still knock it down. And I think just bringing in a different kind of style, right? Like an overseas piece does bring another element to the
Mhm.
team, and two ways to stop this offense definitely becomes tougher, right? So I think the same. I think the offensive firepower is absolutely there. How they mesh and play well together, we obviously have to wait and see. But so many weapons, I think it'll be hard for opposing defenses and defensive coordinators to try and prepare because there are so many things to stop.
Mhm.
Okay, if we throw all our cards at Tahad, Keyshawn Hall is going to kick us.
Mhm.
If we
Mhm.
try to stop Keyshawn Hall, then Tahad's going to go off. If you do that, then Caden Magwood might come off the bench and burn your second point guard. Like
Yep.
you really don't know. There's a lot of options, and like you mentioned, it is a little sneaky. Like
Mhm.
it's almost an under the table level of sneaky. So I'm very curious to see what the offense can do, but a lot of potential. I think they've got a pretty high ceiling.
So let's talk about concern. I'll kick this one off because I want to get your takes on this. Calling it post play in general feels a little bit excessive because I'm a big believer in Murphy, but I'm more so, I don't know a better way to put it than Janai Broome was really good and was top two national player of the year and gave Auburn an elite defense. He was the rim protector, the main shot blocker. Like you look at the numbers, Auburn's defense over the past 3 years, they blocked a ton of shots, they cut off the water at the rim, and I think Murphy can do a lot offensively like that. He can attack from the short corner just like Broome could. I think you'll see him dribble into post ups like Broome did and facilitate a little bit. He didn't post like high assist totals, but the assist rate was pretty good. He's a dog on the glass, has great athleticism, but he just doesn't have the block numbers of Broome. Even Mississippi State, they're good, not great defense. They did do a good job of limiting shots at the rim, so I'll give them credit there. So maybe that isn't as big of a concern as maybe I initially feel. But yeah, that's like the even though I'm a believer in Murphy, it's more so a reflection. Like Broome was elite on both ends of the court, and I'm just wondering as much as I like these perimeter players, is there a chance that Broome was so vital to this team's success the past 2 years that there's just maybe not a massive drop off, but again, we're talking more about a top 20-ish team in that, let's say like 20 to 25 range as opposed to the top 10 where Auburn's been the past 2 years.
No, 100%. And Riley, I think you're spot on. That would have been my piece with this team too. Is the tough part is right. Bruce made his killing on offense and defense last year with a two big system, playing Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell simultaneously. The year before that, that's where they got burned, is they were playing one big at a time, and we're getting out rebounded, and we're getting into foul trouble, and we're slim at the center and power forward position. Last year they played them together. That was the key to a lot of their success. This year I look at that and I say, well, you can't really do that again because one, you don't have, like you mentioned, the number two player in the country based off the rankings. I think he was still arguably the best.
I will not. I'm a Carolina fan. I'm not going to dispute you on that. You don't have to
Yeah,
convince me.
but I mean, I think it's just too hard to replicate that with the group you
Mhm.
have. Now, will they be able to manage with the height that they do have? I think yes, because we've seen smaller Bruce Pearl teams do that same thing and make tournament runs and make runs at SEC championships. And I'm not saying they're small, right? They've got a couple of 6'10" guys. They've got a Miko Purum who's 7 foot. But the biggest weight guy on the team is Keyshawn Hall at 230. Like there's a couple of 230 guys, got a couple of 6'10. Sebastian Williams Adams coming in from St. John's High School. I think he could be a piece that helps out maybe more than we
Mhm.
expected, a 4-star guy. I think he could step in and have a pretty big role. And I agree with you on Keyshawn Murphy too. He's got nice touch. I think the post game is something that might might come as the season goes on, maybe more
Hmm.
than we expected it to. Um, While I also think he will be able to work from the block, work from that mid-range kind of
Yep.
area, get to
Yep.
his spots. That's something that the Bruce Pearl offenses have proved that they can do pretty well. Seeing Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith, those big, tall, lanky guys
Hmm.
that have a very solid one part of their game, Bruce Pearl helps to make them multi-dimensional, and that's something I'm curious to see what he can do with his team. But size is certainly the part I'm curious to watch the most because last year won't you're not going to be able to replicate it, but you just have to do it in your own new way.
Right, right. All right, Vince, we'll wrap this up and I'll put you on the spot and say, do you think this team is more likely to hit its ceiling or its floor?
I'm going to say ceiling. And why I say that is the momentum. I think the momentum, while it is a revamp, I think they can still keep going. I think there's a lot of energy in the program, a lot of energy in the city of Auburn thrown at basketball from what they did last year.
Mhm.
The excitement around Tahad Pettiford coming back for a year or two, I think he improved a lot over the summer. And just the new guys wanting to get out there. These are guys who have never experienced the Final Four. They've never experienced Division One basketball, Division Two basketball, anything but JUCO basketball. These guys are going to be excited to go out there and play. And in the SEC, we know it's going to be tough. It's going to be nose to nose. I think they're a team that can still finish in the top 4 or 5 in the SEC and handle their business in the conference, make a deep run in the tournament, and just see how far they can go. Right? They're a team that just got put together this summer, but I think that they will have not only just the momentum, and from what it seems like already, the chemistry and the likelihood around being best friends off the court and on the
Mhm.
court.
Mhm.
But I think with the confidence that they have coming from last year and the swagger of these guys that I've seen so far, I think I'm going to take the ceiling on this one.
Over the course of this video and the prep I put into it, I switched from floor to ceiling. I don't know if the ceiling is Final Four high, but I think
Yep.
it's definitely second weekend.
Hmm.
And you know what? If you can get the second weekend, you can get the final weekend. But um, when I look at the SEC as a whole, you're looking at some conference mainstays like Alabama, who had a a former All-American graduate. Their roster is a little bit lackluster compared to what it normally is. I would say a dip in the talent, even though I think they'll still be good. I mean, I'm not ready to buy Cal yet at Arkansas. I need to see something like this decade. Florida, I love Golden's coaching ability. I love their two big system. I love the skill they have up and down the court. I have questions about that defense, though, especially at the point of attack. Kentucky's bringing in like four new starters. And then Tennessee, to me, they're sort of like Auburn in the sense of you know what you're going to get from Rick Barnes year in, year out. You can bank on them to have a top 10 defense every year. So I think to me, I'm like the safe picks for the SEC. It might sound crazy with Auburn turning over a new roster, but it almost seems like the safe picks could be Tennessee and Auburn because you know what you're getting out of those coaches, and they still have that high end talent, even though they are like brand new squads coming in. They have a talent edge over a lot of this conference. So I think I am going to go with ceiling here. So yeah, I'm not going to overthink it when Tahab Pettiford is an All American candidate who was awesome for most of last season and probably, especially with how many guys withdrew from the draft, probably could have snuck into the first round. I wouldn't even say sneak into the first round. He could have been a top 25 pick had he gone this year. So yeah, I'm going to go with ceiling with Auburn.
I like it. And I think too, to your point, Bruce, you know what to expect, right? And last year, I don't know that many people would have said Auburn was going to be a Final Four or national championship or number one for however many weeks they were number one level team when the season began. But they did play the hardest non-conference schedule in basketball. They
Mm-hmm.
worked their way into that spot. And I don't think that this team could be any different. Like I think it could be very similar. A bunch of studs, good transfers, a star returner like Janai Broom was, a piece that's, I mean, a team that's calculated that's put together in not unlike last year's team, a group, a different variety of guys put together, and we'll see if Bruce Pearl is able to pull it together and make that ship soar out into the ocean. We'll see.
Yeah, we kind of hammered this point home, but again, it's a staff with the benefit of the doubt, a lot of talented pieces, and that's why they're one of the most intriguing teams in the country.